The moment Mira Knox saw the man in the charcoal suit walk past her candle shop for the third time in 10 minutes, she knew he was gathering courage to come inside. She watched him through the window of ember and wick, her fingers wrapped around a jar of eucalyptus mint she had been about to shelve. He stopped at the corner, ran a hand through dark hair that probably cost more to maintain than her monthly rent, then turned back toward her shop. This time he pushed open the door. The bell chimed and Mira straightened, setting down the candle. "Good morning. Welcome to Ember and Wick." The man nodded, his eyes already scanning the shelves with an intensity that seemed excessive for someone just browsing candles. He was tall, broad-shouldered, and carried himself with the kind of confidence that came from boardrooms and corner offices. Mira had seen plenty of wealthy customers in the 2 years since she had opened her shop in downtown Portland, but something about this one felt different. "I am looking for something specific," he said, his voice deep and measured. "Do you have anything with sandalwood and bergamot?" Mira smiled. "You have good taste. That is one of my personal favorite combinations." She gestured for him to follow her toward the back wall where she kept her more complex scents. "I have a few options. Are you looking for something more masculine or something balanced?" "Masculine." He followed her, maintaining a respectful distance. "It is for my office." She pulled down 3 jars, unscrewing each lid. "This one is sandalwood and bergamot with a hint of cedar. This one adds black pepper for more bite. And this one," she held up a dark amber jar, "has sandalwood, bergamot, and tobacco leaf with just a touch of vanilla to round it out." He leaned in to smell the first one, then the second. When he reached the third, he paused. His eyes closed briefly and something in his shoulders relaxed. "This one, the tobacco leaf blend, excellent choice." Mira screwed the lids back on the other 2. "How many would you like?" "3 large jars to start." Mira raised her eyebrows but kept her expression professional. "Each large jar costs $60. Perfect. I will box those up for you." At the register, he handed her a black credit card without hesitation. She glanced at the name, Cameron Bishop. She ran the card, wrapped each jar carefully in tissue paper, and placed them in her signature cream-colored boxes with the Ember and Wick seal. "Thank you, Mr. Bishop. I hope you enjoy them." He took the bag, met her eyes for the first time fully, and something in her chest tightened unexpectedly. His eyes were gray, storm cloud gray, and held a weariness that wealth could not hide. "I am sure I will." Then he was gone, and Mira was left standing behind her counter wondering why her heart was beating faster than usual. She did not expect to see him again the following week. But there he was on Wednesday afternoon, walking through her door with the same purposeful stride. "Mr. Bishop," she said, surprised, "did you go through 3 large candles already?" A ghost of a smile touched his lips. "No, but I wanted backups. And I would like to try something new for my home." Over the next 30 minutes, Mira walked him through her entire collection. She learned he did not like floral scents, preferred woodsy and spicy notes, and had an apartment that apparently needed candles in every room. He left with 7 more candles and another $400 charged to that black card. "Same time next week." He asked at the door, and this time it was definitely a question. Mira laughed softly. "I will be here." And he was there the next Wednesday, and the Wednesday after that. By the 5th week, Mira had his new order ready when he walked in. 2 of the tobacco leaf sandalwood, 1 cedar and sage, and whatever new experimental scent she had created that week. "You are going to run me out of inventory," she teased as she rang him up on the 6th week. Cameron, because that is what he had asked her to call him by week 3, shook his head. "Then I would have to wait for you to make more. I have time." "What do you do that gives you so much time to burn candles?" Mira asked, the question slipping out before she could stop it. She had been wondering for weeks but had not wanted to pry. "I run a manufacturing company, Bishop Industrial. We make components for commercial construction." He said it simply, without ego. "I spend a lot of time in my office staring at contracts and spreadsheets." "Your candles make it more bearable." Mira had heard of Bishop Industrial. Everyone in Portland had. They were one of the largest employers in the region with contracts all over the Pacific Northwest, which meant Cameron was not just wealthy. He was very wealthy. "Well, I am glad my candles can help," she said, trying to keep her voice light even as her mind raced. "Though I have to say you are my best customer by far." "Good." He took his bag, then hesitated. "The new scent this week, the one with the pine and smoke, what inspired it?" Mira felt warmth creep into her cheeks. She loved when customers asked about her process. "I went camping last weekend up near Mount Hood, sat by the fire and just breathed it all in. I wanted to capture that feeling of being away from everything, you know. When it is just you and the trees and the quiet." Cameron's expression softened. "You succeeded." After he left, Mira's best friend and part-time employee, Sarah, emerged from the back room where she had been pretending not to eavesdrop. "That man is in love with you," Sarah announced. Mira rolled her eyes. "He is in love with my candles." "Nobody needs that many candles, Mira. He is coming here to see you." "He is a customer. A very good customer who single-handedly is keeping me profitable this quarter, that is all." But even as she said it, Mira knew Sarah might be right. She had caught Cameron watching her sometimes, when he thought she was focused on something else. And the way he always asked about her inspiration, her process, her life outside the shop, it felt like more than customer service small talk. The next Wednesday, Cameron arrived during an unexpected rush. Mira had 3 other customers browsing, and she was helping an elderly woman choose a gift for her daughter when he walked in. He caught her eye, nodded, and quietly browsed without interrupting. It took Mira 20 minutes to help the other customers. When she finally turned to Cameron, she was flustered and apologetic. "I am so sorry for the wait." "Never apologize for success," he said easily. "Busy is good." She pulled out his usual order from beneath the counter where she had started keeping it. "I have your regulars here, and this week's new scent is blackberry and thyme. I know it sounds strange, but I promise it works." Cameron took the jar she offered, opened it, and inhaled. His eyes met hers over the rim. "You have not been wrong yet." Something in the air between them shifted. Mira felt it like a physical pull, magnetic and undeniable. She swallowed hard. "Cameron, can I ask you something? Anything? Why do you really come here every week?" He set down the jar carefully. The shop was empty now except for the 2 of them. Sarah had left for the day. The afternoon light streamed through the windows, catching dust motes in golden beams. "At first, it was about the candles," he admitted. "I came in on a whim, and you had exactly what I did not know I was looking for. But then I kept coming back because those 30 minutes every Wednesday became the best part of my week. You talk about scent and memory and feeling like they matter. Like creating something beautiful is reason enough to exist. I do not get that in my world. Everything is profit margins and efficiency metrics. You reminded me that there is more." Mira's breath caught. "Cameron, I am not trying to make you uncomfortable," he said quickly. "If you want me to stop coming, I will. But I needed you to know that these visits, talking to you, seeing what you have created, it has meant something to me. I do not want you to stop coming." The words rushed out. "I look forward to Wednesdays. I started creating the new scents with you in mind, wondering what you would think, hoping you would like them. You are not making me uncomfortable. You are making me nervous because I like you, and I do not know if that is appropriate given that you are a customer and I am just... You are not just anything, Mira." Cameron stepped closer. You are talented and creative, and you light up when you talk about your work. You built this from nothing. That takes courage. You built a manufacturing empire, she countered. I sell candles. You create experiences, memories, comfort. Do not diminish that. They stood there, close enough that Mira could smell the candle he had burned that morning, the tobacco leaf sandalwood that had become synonymous with him in her mind. Her heart hammered against her ribs. Would you like to have dinner with me? Cameron asked. Not as a customer. As someone who wants to spend more than 30 minutes a week with you. Mira smiled, feeling something bright and warm unfurl in her chest. Yes, I would like that. They went to dinner that Friday at a small Italian restaurant tucked into the Pearl District. Cameron arrived in jeans and a navy sweater, and Mira almost did not recognize him without the suit. He looked younger, less burdened. This is strange, she said as they sat down. I feel like I know you, but also like I am meeting you for the first time. I know what you mean. Cameron studied the menu without really looking at it. What do you want to know? I am an open book. So Mira asked, and Cameron answered. She learned he was 32, had taken over Bishop Industrial from his father 5 years ago, and worked 70-hour weeks trying to prove he deserved the position. He had a younger sister who lived in Seattle, parents who had retired to Arizona, and a dog named Copper who was currently being spoiled by his dog Walker. Your turn, Cameron said. Tell me everything. Mira laughed. Everything? That is a tall order, but she tried. She told him about growing up in a small town in Oregon, about studying chemistry in college, before realizing her passion was in creation, not theory. She had worked for a large candle company for 3 years before saving enough to open Ember and Wick. She was 28, single, and spent most of her free time experimenting with new scent combinations or hiking the trails around Portland. No family here, Cameron asked. My parents are still in my hometown. I have a brother in California. We are close, but everyone is doing their own thing now, you know. The conversation flowed easily, moving from topic to topic without the awkwardness Mira usually felt on first dates. Cameron was funny in a dry, understated way that made her laugh unexpectedly. He listened intently, asked thoughtful questions, and seemed genuinely interested in every story she told. When dinner ended, Cameron walked her to her car. The Portland night was crisp and clear, the city lights reflecting off low clouds. Can I see you again? He asked. And not just on Wednesday at the shop. I would be disappointed if you did not, Mira said honestly. He smiled, a real smile that transformed his entire face, and Mira realized with a jolt that she was falling for him, fast and hard and completely. Their second date was a Saturday morning hike up to Multnomah Falls. Cameron showed up with coffee and pastries, wearing boots that had clearly seen use and a jacket that had weathered many trails. They climbed the path talking and laughing, and at the top, with the waterfall crashing behind them, Cameron took her hand. I have not felt this way in a long time, he said quietly. What way? Happy, present, like something in my life is right. Mira squeezed his hand. I know what you mean. The third date was a cooking class where they both proved to be terrible at making pasta from scratch and ended up ordering pizza instead. The fourth was an art gallery opening where Cameron revealed he collected contemporary photography. The fifth was a quiet evening at his apartment where Mira finally met Copper, a golden retriever with boundless energy and a talent for stealing socks. Between dates, Cameron still came to the shop every Wednesday. But now those visits ended with quick kisses when no one was looking and plans for the weekend. Mira started keeping his favorite scent, the tobacco leaf sandalwood blend, behind the counter so it was always ready. You are spoiling me, Cameron said the first time he noticed. You are my best customer. You deserve special treatment. Is that the only reason? His eyes glinted with amusement. Mira leaned across the counter. You want me to list the reasons? I do. You are kind. You listen. You make me laugh. You support my work without trying to fix or change it. You let me be exactly who I am. Should I continue? Cameron kissed her softly, sweetly, ignoring the fact that Sarah was definitely watching from the back room. Yes, but maybe somewhere more private. 2 months into dating, Cameron invited Mira to a charity gala his company was sponsoring. She bought a dress she could barely afford, a deep green silk that Sarah insisted made her look like a Hollywood star. When Cameron picked her up, the look on his face made every penny worth it. You are stunning, he breathed. You clean up pretty well yourself. And he did. The tuxedo fit him perfectly, emphasizing his broad shoulders and lean build. This was Cameron in his element, the CEO and businessman, and Mira felt a flutter of nervousness at entering his world. The gala was held at the Portland Art Museum, the halls filled with the city's wealthy and influential. Mira recognized politicians, business leaders, and local celebrities. She felt out of place until Cameron took her arm and introduced her with such obvious pride that her nervousness melted away. This is Mira Knox. She owns Ember and Wick, the best candle shop in Portland. She is incredibly talented. Everyone they met was polite and interested. Several people asked for her card, and one woman insisted on visiting the shop the next week. But as the evening wore on, Mira began to notice the whispers and glances, the speculation about who she was and why Cameron Bishop had brought her. During dinner, she was seated next to an older woman in diamonds who smiled pleasantly and said, "So how did you and Cameron meet?" "Through friends." "He is a customer at my shop," Mira said honestly. The woman's eyebrows rose delicately. "Oh, how nice." The dismissal was subtle but clear. Mira felt something cold settle in her stomach. Around them, conversations flowed about business deals and real estate and exclusive clubs. Cameron was pulled into a discussion about a manufacturing contract, and even though he kept glancing at Mira apologetically, he could not extricate himself. By the time they left, Mira's face hurt from smiling. "That was awful," Cameron said in the car. "I am sorry. Those events are always tedious, but I needed to make an appearance." "Everyone was nice," Mira said carefully. Cameron looked at her sharply. But I do not belong in that world, Cameron. You saw how they looked at me, like I was some curiosity you brought along." "I do not care what they think. Maybe you should." Mira stared out the window at the city passing by. "We are from different worlds. You run a company worth millions. I make candles in a small shop. Those people tonight, they are your peers. I do not fit." Cameron pulled the car over abruptly, parking along a quiet street. He turned to face her fully. "Listen to me. I have spent the last 5 years surrounded by those people. I have done everything right, built the company, made the deals, attended the galas, and I have been miserable. Then I walked into your shop and everything changed. You make me want to leave the office at a reasonable hour. You remind me that there is beauty and creativity and joy in the world. I do not need to fit into their world, Mira. I want to fit into yours." Tears pricked Mira's eyes. "You mean that?" "Every word." He reached for her hand. "I am falling in love with you. I think I started falling that first day when you explained scent profiles like they were the most important thing in the world. Do not let their narrow view of what matters make you doubt this." "I am falling in love with you too," Mira whispered. "It scares me. It scares me too." Cameron smiled. "But I would rather be scared with you than safe without you." They sat there in his car, holding hands while the Portland night grew darker around them. When Cameron finally drove her home, he walked her to her door and kissed her like she was precious, like she mattered more than any business deal or social obligation. "I will see you Wednesday," he murmured against her lips. "You better." But Wednesday came and Cameron did not show. Mira tried not to worry. He was a busy man. Things came up. But when he did not call or text either, anxiety crept in. By Friday, she broke down and called him. It went to voicemail. She left a casual message asking if everything was okay, then spent the weekend alternating between worry and anger. Monday morning, Sarah found her stress making candles in the back room, pouring wax with more force than necessary. "Still no word?" Sarah asked. "Nothing. I called twice, texted 3 times. Radio silence." "That is not like him." "Maybe it is exactly like him." Mira wiped her forehead, leaving a smudge of soot. "Maybe I was just a diversion, something different to occupy his time before he got bored." "You do not believe that." Mira wanted to argue, but she could not, because she did not believe it. Cameron had been too genuine, too present, too invested. Which meant something was wrong. Tuesday afternoon, a woman in her late 20s walked into Ember and Wick. She was polished and professional in a pencil skirt and blouse, carrying a leather portfolio. "Are you Mira Knox?" the woman asked. "Yes, can I help you?" "I am Jennifer Reese, Cameron Bishop's executive assistant. He asked me to give you this." She handed Mira an envelope. "He also wanted me to apologize on his behalf for not contacting you directly. He has been dealing with an unexpected crisis." Mira took the envelope with shaking hands. "Is he okay?" Jennifer's expression softened. "He is handling a difficult situation. I probably should not say more, but he has been essentially living at the office for the past week. He asked me to make sure you knew he did not disappear by choice." After Jennifer left, Mira opened the envelope. Inside was a note in Cameron's handwriting. "Mira, I am sorry I disappeared. There has been an accident at one of our manufacturing sites. No one was seriously hurt, but I have been dealing with investigations, safety reviews, and damage control. I have barely slept. I did not want to dump this on you, but I should have at least told you I would be unavailable. That was wrong of me. I miss you. I miss our Wednesdays. I miss talking to you. I will explain everything when this is resolved. Please do not give up on me." Cameron relief and concern flooded through Mira in equal measure. She grabbed her phone and texted him, "I got your note. I understand. Please take care of yourself. I am here when you are ready." His response came an hour later, "Thank you. That means everything." 3 weeks passed before Cameron walked into Ember and Wick again. Mira was helping a customer when the bell chimed, and her heart leaped at the sight of him. But he looked exhausted. There were dark circles under his eyes, and his suit hung a bit looser than before. She finished with her customer quickly, then turned to him. "Cameron, I know I look terrible," he said with a weak smile. "I have been living on coffee and stress. Come here." She grabbed his hand and pulled him into the back room, away from potential customers. The moment they were alone, she wrapped her arms around him. He sagged against her, and she felt the tension in his body. "I missed you," he said into her hair. "I missed you too." "What happened?" Jennifer said there was an accident. Cameron pulled back enough to meet her eyes. "One of our machines malfunctioned at the Beaverton facility. 3 workers were injured. Not critically, thank God, but it should not have happened. We have safety protocols for a reason. It turns out a supervisor had been cutting corners to meet production deadlines, and I did not catch it. I was so focused on growth and profits that I missed what was happening on the ground. That is not your fault. It is my company, my responsibility." He looked gutted. "I have spent the last 3 weeks personally reviewing every facility, every protocol, meeting with every shift. I fired the supervisor and 2 managers who knew what was happening and did nothing. I met with the injured workers and their families. I am implementing new oversight systems. But none of that changes the fact that people got hurt because I was not paying attention." Mira cupped his face in her hands. You are one person, Cameron. You cannot be everywhere at once. What matters is how you responded. You took responsibility. You made changes. You are doing everything right. I keep thinking about what you said after the gala. About how I am from a different world. You create things that bring joy. I run a company where people can get hurt if I am not careful enough. Maybe you were right about us being too different. Stop. Mira's voice was firm. I was insecure and scared that night. I let other people's opinions get into my head. But I know you, Cameron. I know you care about your workers. I know you take your responsibilities seriously. You are a good man running a good company. Do not let one terrible situation make you doubt that. And do not use it as an excuse to push me away. I am not trying to push you away. I am trying to protect you from all of this mess. I do not need protection. I need you to let me in, to trust that I can handle the hard parts as well as the easy ones. She stepped closer. I love you, Cameron. I have been waiting 3 weeks to say that out loud. I love you, and I am not going anywhere. Cameron's eyes widened. Then he was kissing her, deep and desperate and full of everything he had not been able to say. When they finally broke apart, both breathing hard, he rested his forehead against hers. I love you too, he said. I have for weeks. I was going to tell you the night I disappeared. I had this whole plan. Mira laughed, the sound watery with unshed tears. Tell me now. I love you, Mira Knox. You make me want to be better. You remind me what matters. I have never felt this way about anyone. They stood there in her back room, surrounded by boxes of wax and fragrance oils, holding each other like they were the only solid things in a shifting world. When Sarah poked her head in and saw them, she grinned and closed the door quietly. Over the next few months, their relationship deepened and solidified. Cameron still came to the shop every Wednesday, and Mira still kept his favorite scent behind the counter. But now those visits were just one part of a life they were building together. Mira met Cameron's parents when they visited Portland in November. His mother, Dorothy, was warm and welcoming, immediately pulling Mira into a hug. His father, Richard, was more reserved but clearly approved of how happy his son had become. We have not seen Cameron smile this much in years, Dorothy said over dinner. Whatever you are doing, keep doing it. Mom, Cameron protested, but he was grinning. I am just saying. You were so serious after you took over the company. We worried about you. Richard nodded. You are good for him, Mira. We can see that. Mira met Cameron's sister, Claire, when she came down from Seattle for Thanksgiving. Claire was vibrant and funny, and she cornered Mira in the kitchen within an hour of arriving. Okay, I need to know your secret, Claire said. How did you get my workaholic brother to actually take weekends off? Mira laughed. I honestly do not know. He just started doing it. It is a miracle. Mom and I have been trying for years. Claire studied her with open curiosity. He is serious about you. I have never seen him bring anyone to family events before. I am serious about him too. Good. Because if you break his heart, I will have to hunt you down, and that would be awkward since I actually really like you. Cameron's apartment slowly filled with Mira's touches. A throw blanket she had made draped over his couch, her favorite coffee in his kitchen. A photo of the two of them hiking, windswept and laughing, on his desk at work. Mira found herself staying over more nights than not, her toothbrush claiming permanent residence in his bathroom. For Christmas, Cameron gave her a key to his apartment. Move in with me, he said. I know it is fast, but I do not see the point in pretending we do not want to spend every night together. Mira held the key, feeling the weight of what he was offering. What about my lease? I have 6 months left. I will pay the buyout. Cameron, I am not trying to throw money at the problem. I am trying to solve the logistics so you can say yes. If you want to say yes. Do you want to say yes? Mira launched herself at him, nearly knocking him over. Yes, of course yes. She moved in over New Year's, and Cameron took the week off to help her pack and unpack. They painted her old apartment to get her deposit back, argued over where to put her furniture in his place, and christened every room with laughter and love. "I cannot believe you own this many candles," Cameron said, staring at the boxes filling his living room. "Our living room," Mira corrected. "And you are one to talk. You have bought at least 100 candles from me over the past year. Because they are amazing. You are amazing." Living together was easy in ways Mira had not expected. They fell into rhythms naturally. Cameron woke early and made coffee while Mira took her time getting ready. She cooked dinners that did not come from a takeout container, and he did dishes without complaining. They walked Copper together in the evenings, talking about their days. They read in comfortable silence on the couch. They made love like they had all the time in the world and also like they could not wait another second. In March, a boutique hotel chain contacted Mira about creating a signature scent for their properties. It was a huge opportunity, more than she could handle alone. She agonized over whether to take it, afraid of expanding too quickly and losing the personal touch that made Ember and Wick special. "What do you want to do?" Cameron asked over dinner. "I want to say yes, but I am terrified of failing." "Then say yes and let me help you figure out the logistics. You do not have to do this alone, Mira. You have built something special. If you want to grow it, grow it. If you want to keep it small, keep it small. But do not let fear make the decision." With Cameron's encouragement and Sarah's enthusiastic support, Mira took the contract. She hired 2 more employees to handle the shop so she could focus on developing the hotel scent. Cameron connected her with manufacturers and helped her negotiate contracts. Within 3 months, she had created a signature blend, pine and amber with bergamot, that the hotel chain loved. They ordered enough candles to keep her busy for a year. "I cannot believe this is happening," Mira said, staring at the purchase order. "I can. You are talented. People are finally recognizing it." The success of the hotel contract led to more opportunities. A spa chain, a high-end boutique, a lifestyle brand. Mira hired more staff, moved production to a larger facility, and kept the original shop as her flagship location. Sarah became her operations manager. It was thrilling and exhausting and sometimes overwhelming. Through all of it, Cameron was there, not managing or controlling but supporting. He celebrated her wins and problem-solved her challenges. He reminded her to take breaks and brought her dinner when she worked late. He believed in her even when she doubted herself. On a Wednesday evening in June, over a year after they had first met, Cameron came to the shop at closing time. Mira was doing inventory, counting jars and making notes. He let himself in with his key and found her in the back. "Should I come back?" he asked. "Never. I am just finishing up." She marked down a number and set her clipboard aside. "What brings you by? We were supposed to meet at home." "I know, but I wanted to come here, to where it all started." He looked nervous, which was unusual for Cameron. "Do you remember the first time I came in?" "Of course. You walked past the shop 3 times before you got the courage to come inside. You noticed that." "I notice everything about you." Mira stepped closer. "Why are you asking?" "Because I have been thinking about that day a lot lately. How I almost did not come in. How my life would be so different if I had not. You changed everything for me, Mira. Before you, I was going through the motions. Work, sleep, repeat. I was successful and miserable. Then you showed me what it meant to create something meaningful, to build a life instead of just a career." Mira's heart started racing. "Cameron, what are you?" He dropped to one knee, pulling a small velvet box from his pocket. "I love you more than I thought it was possible to love another person. You challenge me and support me and make me laugh. You have built something incredible, and I am so proud to stand beside you. I want to spend the rest of my life making you as happy as you make me. Mira Knox, will you marry me?" He opened the box to reveal a ring, a simple emerald-cut diamond on a platinum band. It was elegant and understated and absolutely perfect. Tears streamed down Mira's face. "Yes. God, yes." Cameron's hands shook as he slid the ring onto her finger. Then he stood and pulled her into his arms, lifting her off the ground and spinning her while she laughed and cried simultaneously. "I love you," she said against his neck. "I love you so much. I love you too. Always." They were married in September in a small ceremony at a vineyard outside Portland. Mira wore a simple lace dress, and Cameron wore a charcoal suit that reminded her of the first time she had seen him. Claire was Mira's maid of honor, and Cameron's college roommate stood as his best man. Mira's parents and brother came from Oregon and California. Cameron's parents beamed in the front row. Sarah cried through the entire ceremony. They exchanged vows they had written themselves. Mira promised to keep Cameron grounded and remind him what mattered. Cameron promised to support her dreams and make her laugh every day. They promised to build a life together based on love and respect and partnership. At the reception, Cameron gave a toast that made everyone cry. "A year and a half ago, I walked into a candle shop looking for something to make my office smell better. Instead, I found the person who would make my whole life better. Mira, you are the best thing that ever happened to me. Thank you for saying yes." They honeymooned in Italy, spending 2 weeks exploring Florence and Rome and the Amalfi Coast. They ate pasta and drank wine and made love in hotel rooms with views of ancient cities. They talked about the future, about the life they wanted to build together. "How many kids do you want?" Cameron asked one evening as they watched the sunset from a Positano terrace. "2, maybe 3. You?" "I always thought 2, but I could be convinced of 3. He pulled her close. "As long as they are with you, I do not care. They will be lucky to have you as a father. You are patient and kind and devoted, all the best qualities. We should probably give Copper a few months to be an only child before we add a baby to the mix." Mira laughed. "Definitely, though he will be a great big brother." They returned from their honeymoon to their apartment, which now officially belonged to both of them. Mira had kept ember and wick, but had stepped back from daily operations to focus on product development and new partnerships. Sarah ran the shop with confidence and creativity, often testing new scents and suggesting innovations. Cameron had restructured his role at Bishop Industrial, promoting a COO to handle day-to-day operations while he focused on strategy and long-term planning. He left the office at reasonable hours now, prioritizing time with Mira over endless meetings. They hosted Thanksgiving that year, cramming both their families into their apartment. The chaos was loud and messy and perfect. Cameron carved the turkey while Mira orchestrated side dishes. Dorothy and Mira's mother, Linda, bonded over recipes. Richard and Mira's father, George, argued amiably about football. Claire and Mira's brother, Tyler, entertained everyone with embarrassing childhood stories. "This is nice," Cameron murmured to Mira in a rare quiet moment. "Having everyone together. It is. We should do it every year. Deal." In January, on a snowy Wednesday afternoon, Cameron stopped by Ember and Wick during his lunch break. Sarah was helping customers, but she gestured toward the back when she saw him. He found Mira in her old office, now used mostly for storage, sitting at the desk with her head in her hands. "Hey, what is wrong?" He was beside her immediately. Mira looked up and he saw she was crying. Panic gripped him. "Mira, I am pregnant," she said. "I just took a test." Actually, 3 tests. They were all positive. Relief and joy flooded through Cameron. "That is amazing. Why are you crying?" Because I am happy and scared and hormonal, apparently. She laughed through her tears. We only talked about this a few months ago. I did not think it would happen so fast. Cameron pulled her into his arms. Are you happy? So happy. Are you, Mira? I am thrilled. Terrified, but thrilled. He kissed her forehead, her cheeks, her lips. We are having a baby. We are having a baby, she repeated, wonder in her voice. Their daughter, Lily Dorothy Bishop, was born on a clear October morning. She had Cameron's gray eyes and Mira's dark hair, and a cry that could wake the entire hospital wing. Cameron held her with shaking hands, staring down at her tiny face with an expression of absolute awe. She is perfect, he whispered. She is, Mira agreed, exhausted and exhilarated. Parenthood was harder than either of them expected and more rewarding than they had imagined. Sleepless nights and endless diapers, first smiles and tiny fingers wrapped around theirs. Cameron took paternity leave and spent weeks learning to change diapers one-handed while holding a coffee cup in the other. Mira pumped breast milk between business calls and learned to function on 4 hours of sleep. Their families descended with offers of help. Dorothy stayed for 2 weeks, cooking and cleaning and giving them breaks to shower and nap. Linda visited every weekend, rocking Lily and singing lullabies. Claire drove down from Seattle monthly, bearing gifts and enthusiasm. On Wednesdays, when Lily was 6 weeks old, Cameron started bringing her to the shop. It became their routine. He would strap her into the carrier against his chest and walk to Ember and Wick, browsing the shelves while Mira worked. Sometimes she would break away to nurse or just hold her daughter. Sometimes Cameron would walk around the shop, pointing out candles to Lily and explaining scent profiles like she could understand. You are going to give our daughter your expensive taste, Mira teased. She should have excellent taste. She has excellent parents. When Lily was 6 months old, Mira opened a second location of Ember and Wick in Seattle, with Claire managing it. The expansion was strategic and careful, maintaining the quality and personal touch that had made the original shop successful. Cameron helped with the business plan and financial projections, and together they made decisions about inventory and staffing. Look at you, building an empire, Cameron said proudly at the Seattle grand opening. Hardly an empire, just 2 shops. For now, you are just getting started. They celebrated their second wedding anniversary with dinner at the restaurant where they had their first date. Cameron's parents stayed with Lily, giving them a rare evening alone. They held hands across the table and talked about everything and nothing, just like that first night. Remember when you asked me to dinner and I thought it was the scariest thing in the world, Mira said. Remember when you thought we were too different to work, Cameron countered. I was so wrong about that. You were. We are perfect together. Perfectly imperfect, Mira corrected with a smile. That is even better. At home that night, they relieved Cameron's parents and tiptoed into Lily's room. She slept peacefully, one tiny fist curled near her face. Cameron wrapped his arm around Mira's waist, and they stood there watching their daughter breathe. I have been thinking, Cameron said quietly, about that third kid we talked about. Oh, I think I am definitely convinced. But maybe we wait until Lily is sleeping through the night consistently. Mira laughed softly. Deal. They had their second daughter, Rose Linda Bishop, 2 years later. She had Mira's temperament, calm and observant, and Cameron's serious expression that would occasionally crack into a brilliant smile. Lily was fascinated by her baby sister, constantly wanting to help feed her and hold her and show her toys. The apartment that had once seemed spacious now felt cramped with 2 kids and all their belongings. They started looking for a house, something with a yard for the girls and Copper, who was getting older but still loved to run. They found a place in the West Hills, a craftsman-style home with a view of downtown Portland. It had 4 bedrooms, a huge kitchen, and a backyard perfect for a swing set and a garden. It needed work, but Mira saw its potential immediately. "This is it," she said, walking through the empty rooms. "This is where we raise our family." They moved in that summer and spent months renovating. Cameron did demolition on weekends while Mira picked out paint colors and light fixtures. They installed shelves in the living room for books and photos. They created a playroom for the girls, painting one wall with chalkboard paint. They turned the smallest bedroom into Mira's home office where she could work on new scent developments without going to the production facility. On their first night in the house, with moving boxes still stacked everywhere, they sat on the back porch watching the sunset. Lily chased Copper around the yard while Rose dozed in Cameron's arms. Mira leaned against Cameron's shoulder, feeling content in a bone-deep way. "We did good," she said. "We did very good." Cameron kissed the top of her head, "though I am still not convinced we needed a house this big. Wait until the girls are teenagers. We will need all this space and then some. Do not remind me that they will be teenagers someday. Let me live in denial a bit longer." Mira laughed. "Deal." Cameron started a tradition of bringing Lily and Rose to Ember and Wick every Wednesday afternoon after picking them up from preschool. They would choose a candle to burn at home that week, and Sarah would give them cookies from the coffee shop next door. It became something the girls looked forward to, their special time with Dad at Mom's shop. One Wednesday, when Lily was 5 and Rose was 3, Lily asked Mira a question that stopped her in her tracks. "Mommy, how did you and Daddy meet?" Mira knelt down to her daughter's level. "Daddy walked into my shop one day looking for candles, and we became friends, and then we fell in love. Like in a fairy tale." Lily's eyes were wide, kind of like a fairy tale, except it was real and it was better. "Because fairy tales are not real," Rose added seriously. "Exactly." Cameron ruffled her hair. "Our story is better because it is real." That night, after the girls were in bed, Cameron found Mira in the kitchen making candles. She had set up a small workspace in the corner where she could experiment with new scents. He wrapped his arms around her from behind, resting his chin on her shoulder. "What are you working on?" "Something new. Citrus and herbs with a woody base. I am thinking summer garden." "Sounds perfect. Everything you make is perfect." "That is not true." "Remember the disaster batch last month that smelled like burning tires?" "Okay, almost everything you make is perfect." Mira turned in his arms. "I was thinking about what Lily asked today, about how we met." "What about it?" "I am so glad you walked past my shop 3 times before getting the courage to come in. I am so glad you kept coming back every Wednesday. I am so glad you wanted more than 30 minutes a week. I am glad you kept my favorite scent behind the counter," Cameron said softly. "I am glad you took a chance on me. I am glad you built this incredible life with me." "Building," Mira corrected. "We are still building." "You are right. We are still building, and I cannot wait to see what we create next." They stood there in their kitchen, holding each other, while candles flickered on the counter and the house settled around them. Upstairs, their daughters slept peacefully. In the backyard, Copper was probably digging holes in the garden they would have to fill tomorrow. Their life was messy and chaotic and absolutely perfect. Years later, when people asked Mira how she had built her successful candle company, she would talk about hard work and creativity and taking risks. But when people asked how she had built her beautiful life, she would smile and talk about a man who walked into her shop looking for candles and found so much more. She would talk about how love showed up when she least expected it and how it had transformed everything. And every Wednesday, without fail, Cameron would stop by whichever Ember and Wick location was closest, sometimes with their daughters, sometimes alone, and he would buy a candle. Usually, the tobacco leaf sandalwood blend that Mira had created years ago. The scent that had started everything. The scent that she still kept behind the counter, ready and waiting just for him, because some traditions were worth keeping, some moments were worth remembering, and some love stories were worth living, one Wednesday at a time, one candle at a time, one beautiful moment at a time for the rest of their lives.